Back on the news feed, PM, thanks for staying on. Most Afrikaner communities say they will not take up the U.S. President Donald Trump's resettlement offer. The Trump administration has been criticized for granting refugee status to Afrikaners over people fleeing war and famine. For more on this, we're joined now by Dr. Theo de Jager, chair of the Agri Initiative and former president of the World Farmers Organization, who is joining us online. Good to have you, Dr. de Jager, and thank you very much for your time. Let me start firstly by the view that is held by the South African government on this resettlement of Afrikaners, at least the 49 that have left. The South African government maintaining that this is a political move that is guised as some kind of a refugee seeking status, saying the South African police statistics on farm-related crimes do not support allegations of violent crime targeted at farmers generally or particularly any race. There is rather sufficient structures available within South Africa to address these concerns of discrimination. Now, from the point of view of, I suppose, the many hats that you wear, previously being with the World Agricultural Organization, you are now the chair of the Southern African Agri Initiative, but also with Agri All Africa. What is the view within the continent of this political conflict that is going on in South Africa around this matter of these farmers? Okay, we seem to have lost Dr. de Jager. They will try and make a connection with him again and continue with this for now. U.S. National Security Law and Foreign Relations expert Johanna LeBlanc says South Africa and the United States must find ways of engaging better with one another as their relationship is mutually beneficial.
I believe President Ramaphosa will be the first African president to sit down and have a conversation with Mr. Trump since he has taken office. So this is a bit historic and unprecedented. But even more so, I think that South Africa and the U.S. Are partners on various initiatives. The United States has a number of American businesses that engage in commercial affairs in South Africa. So the United States has a great deal of interest about what's happening in South Africa. And South Africa also has a great deal of interest in maintaining a good relationship with the United States, but one that is based on mutual respect and respect for South Africa's sovereignty and certainly South Africa's rule of law. But I think it's also important to note that there are other issues that has to be discussed between the United States and South Africa because the relationship has been strained since Mr. Trump took office, and even before Mr. Trump took office, even under President Biden's presidency. You have the issue of Iran. You have the issue of the U.S.'s support for Israel and the ICJ court case against Israel for genocide against Palestine. So there are a lot of policies that the United States and South Africa do not agree on that must be discussed in order to move forward with progressive and productive diplomatic relations.
LeBlanc has also noted the lack of reports by international human rights groups about the so-called genocide against white Afrikaners in South Africa.
As you know, President Ramaphosa has made it very clear that there is no such issue of genocide against white South Afrikaners in South Africa, which is expected because most governments usually deny claims of genocide or claims of discrimination. But there's another part that we're not discussing is that normally when such things occur, you have reports by the United Nations, right? You have reports by major international human rights groups. And in this case, we have not seen any reports, any credible reports from any other organizations saying that there is indeed a genocide against white South Afrikaners in South Africa, for the exception of the United States saying so. So there seems to be some level of discrepancy in terms of what's happening in South Africa versus the perception of what is happening here, of what is actually taking place by decision makers here in Washington. And it's rather concerning, and it's something that's going to take a great deal of continuous diplomatic discussions to come up with an actual agreement of what is really happening in South Africa.
Right, we seem to have Dr. De Jager back with us on the line. Dr. De Jager, you can hear me. I was saying just moments ago that there is, of course, this resettlement of 49 Afrikaners that has sparked a lot of debate in South Africa and I suppose elsewhere. From the point of view of farmers that you interact with, you had a 40-strong delegation, for example, from the Agri Africa at Nampo. What is their feeling about this resettlement of Afrikaners in the United States? Are we going to see farmers going in their numbers?
I don't think so, not, not yet, at least. We don't know who these Afrikaners are who left. We were not part of organizing them. We don't know what criteria they had to meet. We do have a list inside in our organization of people who inquired about the opportunity of about 1,000, but only 2 of them are real farmers. There are 3 categories on that list. There are quite a number of youngsters. Those are people who work in the United States every year. They drive big machines, they do harvesting on farms, but it's for a few months every year. And this year there will be 16,200 of them who will be going. And those who want to take up the offer of the USA government, they feel that they have better opportunities there than here. They would not have gone there if they had similar opportunities here. They feel they understand the system there.
Yeah.
Then the second largest group is actually middle-aged people who worked elsewhere in the value chain, a silo manager or a floor manager at a cooperative or a farm manager. The level where BEE is quite acute at the moment. And they say they cannot find a job again. Some of them have struggled for 4 or 5 years to find a new job, and they don't have a livelihood. They cannot take care of their families, and they believe they will be better off on that side. And then there's also a small group of trauma-stricken people who are on that list, people who fell victim to farm attacks or farm murders. And none of them have heard anything back from either the embassy or the Department of Foreign Affairs in the USA, and none of them know exactly what will be awaiting them. You know, what's on offer. Will they stay in tents? Will they get a green card? Whatever it is.
So what you're saying, Dr. Jager, is that from your list, at least of 1,000 or so that you have looked at, those 49 are not represented in that particular list. However, be it, they did get this particular status. And the issue really at hand is, what is the feeling of your grouping as Agri SA Initiative on this disinformation at 2 levels? One, that there is white genocide or Afrikaner genocide in South Africa, but 2, that there is a carte blanche grabbing of land by the government of South Africa.
We do not know where the disinformation comes from. Hey, we hear that disinformation has been spread, but we don't know from where it came, and no one could tell us. Even when we confronted some of the politicians who said that there's disinformation that's been spread, we asked, who? What exactly is the disinformation and who is spreading it? We maintain, and all our farmers' organizations in South Africa maintain that there is no genocide, but there's a massive problem with safety on farms and with farm murders, and we expect government to do more about it. We are pushing government to act on it. We feel government does not do enough. And we hold them accountable for it. We say we understand that some farmers would eventually say, we've had enough of this. Because they have exhausted their internal remedies. I mean, we've taken the song kill the farmer, kill the boer, to court, and then to the Court of Appeal. And then the judges at the Constitutional Court decided for some reason to close the doors of the court on us. They never heard our case at the Constitutional Court. So where should we go with it next? Next, we must go abroad. Next, we must go to the United Nations or to the International Court of Justice.
Yeah.
Because we have tried internally and the doors have been shut to us. When it comes to land grabs, there is no widespread grabbing of farmland at the moment in South Africa. But it can happen. I mean, if I would be expropriated at nil compensation, I would have no income, no money to fight this expropriation. I think if that would happen to farmers, they would also grab an opportunity to go to the USA.
Yeah.
And this new act actually paves the way to that. There is no guarantee that it will not happen because this new act can let it happen legally.
Yeah. Interesting that you say that. An organization that you used to be a head of, Agri SA, holds a different view. That the Expropriation Act of 23rd January 2025 has sparked a lot of political debate, but the disinformation is that there is a seizure and confiscation of private property that has taken place. They're saying there has not been any such, nor has any land been expropriated without compensation. Isolated cases of land grabs and trespassing have been dealt with. Additionally, rumors linking farm murders to the signing of the act are baseless and irresponsible. That's Agri SA.
Yeah, Agri SA, remember we originated from an expropriation at less than market-related compensation, the expropriation from Ackerland. When I was in Agri SA still in Limpopo, we took that matter to court and we won the court case against government. The court order was that the property should immediately be returned to the original farmer. And also there Agri SA decided not to join us in that court case. Hence, we launched an organization, SAI, because we feel the farmer should not wonder whether somebody will assist them should their number come up for an expropriation at less than market-related compensation. And remember, it does not need to be nil compensation or without compensation to be devastating, because very few farmers farm on a cash basis. We all put our property up as collateral for loans, for production. Yes. So should government, on average, compensate the farmer only 60%, it would mean that the bank and the cooperative would get their money, but the farmer will walk out naked. And what should happen to that farmer then?
Yeah.
Where should they go?
There's a sense that none of that will happen because there is no new expropriation powers that have been introduced. The Act does not introduce such powers. In fact, the legal framework for land reform, including the Land Reform Labour Tenure Act, is in place. The Extension of Security of Tenure Act is in place. The Restitution of Land Rights Act is in place. And the Provisional of Land and Assistance Act remains unchanged. So none of that is actually an issue here.
No, it is. We are currently in court with a number of expropriations. One of the cases we have in court right now is that of plaaswerfbeleggings, where a property was expropriated in revenge by the Provincial Department of Health in Gauteng. This property is at Heidelberg, and it was on the property, there's a mortuary, which was leased out to the department. And when government stopped paying their lease, the owner acted against them, got a court order to throw them out, and the next thing he was expropriated and never paid.
Right.
And it's already 5 years ago, but the case is still pending in court.
Okay.
And you know, this owner must fight with their own money against government, which is fighting back with taxpayers' money.
Right.
So, no, it's not true that it is not happening at all or that it cannot happen. it is actually happening, and we are fighting it in court right as we speak.
All right, Dr. De Jager, I'm out of time, but let me say this as a way out. I mean, as we sit right now, what do you think is the responsibility of organized agriculture to deal with this disinformation?
We must first find the people who spread the disinformation, hey, and no one could have could tell us up to now who it is.
Yeah, there are some
we are very clear that we say
saying
there's no large-scale land grabbing and that there's no
Dr. De Jager,
genocide.
There are some who say that AfriForum could have been one of the organizations who went overseas and spread such. You had Barend Petrus Ace at one of your events this past week. Did you put that to him?
Barend Petrus Ace never said that there's a genocide or large-scale land grabbing. Where did he say that?
No, I'm saying you had him representing AfriForum. Did you ask him what the position of AfriForum is? I didn't say he said that.
Yes. AfriForum's position is that there's no large-scale land grabbing at the moment or no genocide at the moment.
Is that their position? And so they're saying this
is their position.
This disinformation.
Remember, they were at the media ombudsman 5 times over the last 2 months.
Yeah.
And they won each one of those cases.
Yeah. And so they are not part of spreading that disinformation in the United States. Not at all.
No, so, definitely not.
So the United States is making this up, or at least somebody is feeding them. Is that your view?
Yeah, because we heard Trump saying that there's a genocide, hey. But we don't know who is telling him that there's a genocide.
All right. Dr. De Jager, appreciate your time. Let's leave you there. Thank you very much. That's the chair of the Agri SA Initiative and former president of the World Farmers Organization.